It's true. It's true. It's time for the Three Count podcast coming to you for the very first time from the Studio 311 studios in video form. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Chambers. And despite lockdown, it would not be the Three Count podcast without my co-host, Ben Hobden. Benny, how are you?
G'day guys, how are you, Dill? What's going on, mate?
Oh, not too much. Just enjoying a bit of lockdown and enjoying being in video form.
Yeah, it's a bit like being in a Hell in a Cell match at the moment. It's climbing the walls at home, but we're getting there, so hopefully not too much longer.
Now, Benny, with Money in the Bank just days away, we'll take you through all the matches. We're going to look at some of our favourite Money in the Bank memories and moments, and stay tuned later in the episode. We're going to have a bit of a draft and draft our dream Money in the Bank match. But before we get into that, Benny, do you have any wrestling news to kick off the podcast?
Yeah, mate, we've got a few things going on in the week, and obviously Jimmy Uso got caught doing DUI again. It's not the first time he's been in trouble. Good old Jimmy. So could cause a few struggles backstage for him because it has in the past. But obviously with such a big storyline going on with Roman and stuff, I think he might get off a bit lucky.
Yeah, it was interesting. They didn't really mention it at all on SmackDown, so I think they're just they're going with the whole it didn't happen.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Well, there was that one little moment when Jay came out. And he sort of looked at him and he was really talking to him on the microphone. I thought that's a bit serious there. I think there's something behind that, but I think they're just going to sweep it under the rug. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
In other news, Bayley injured. Looks like she's going to be out for 9 months with a knee injury. So that's not real good. And it's going to pain me to say this, but I think I'm going to miss her.
you have been a bit of a Bayley hater on the podcast, but
yeah, she's literally been my nemesis, Miss Ding Dong herself. But I think I'm going to miss her.
Yeah,
I actually had her winning this weekend. So
wow, I wonder if WWE did too.
So that'll be interesting.
I thought there was an interesting.
Just in a couple of other things. Sasha and Bianca won the best WWE moment at the ESPYs. That was a nice little thing for their WrestleMania match. I thought that was good. And then we said goodbye to the Thunderdome this week.
We did.
SmackDown will be coming to us live, and then obviously Money in the Bank will be live with a live audience. So that's pretty cool.
We've been told there's plenty of surprises in store for us now that we're back to live crowds. Thank you, Stephanie McMahon on Twitter.
You got any last thoughts of the Thunderdome deal?
Oh mate, I'm kind of glad it's over. I'm interested to see where the crowd goes. I mean, obviously with the Thunderdome, WWE could decide who was being cheered, who was being booed, and what chants were going on. So it'll be interesting to see if the crowd kind of revolts a little against that and who, I guess, their actual favourites are.
Exactly what I was thinking. The interaction between the talent and the crowd are going to be crazy. I feel like this first one could be a bit like the Raw after WrestleMania. You know how the crowd sort of takes over?
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like that could be what happens this week on SmackDown.
Maybe some beach balls being thrown around.
Yeah, beach ball mania. Look out. And then other than that, Paul Orndorff passed away. That's another quick one, but he was around very early on in the early WrestleManias and stuff. So,
Mr. Wonderful.
But other than that, that's about it.
I have heard that there was talks there was going to be a draft after SummerSlam, but it looks like that's been moved to October possibly.
Yeah, pushed it back a couple of months now, I suppose. So it'll be interesting, and especially to see if anybody comes back as well, because obviously we've got a few people coming back, which we'll probably talk about very soon.
That we will. Now, thanks for the news, Benny. Let's get into Money in the Bank a little bit. The very first Money in the Bank ladder match was held at WrestleMania 21 in 2005, featuring Chris Jericho, Edge, Benoit, Christian Kane, and Shelton Benjamin, with Edge becoming the very first Mr. Money in the Bank. The Rated R superstar held onto the briefcase for 9 months before cashing in on John Cena at New Year's Revolution and winning his first title. Now, Benny, believe it or not, backstage, Edge didn't actually want to be included in the Money in the Bank match. He wasn't interested in it. He didn't think it was a good idea. And Chris Jericho and Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. Kane, talked him into it backstage.
Yeah, there you go, eh?
There you go.
Good choice.
Yeah, ended up working out pretty well for Edge. 2017 saw the very first women's Money in the Bank, which was technically won by Carmella.
Yeah, that's a bit iffy, that one.
James Ellsworth, her then boyfriend, grabbed the briefcase for her. Due to the interference, she was stripped of the contract. And they had a Money in the Bank rematch on SmackDown a few days later, which she won as well. Now, Carmella wait.
She is credited as a two-time champ, two-time Money in the Bank champion. It's a bit weird.
It is a bit weird.
Anyway.
It's an iffy one, that one. Now,
well, technically, Edge has been classed with 2 as well, but
same.
That's another.
Same with the Miz.
Miz as well. Yeah, there we go.
We'll get into those stats now. Carmella waited 287 days to cash in the first Women's Money in the Bank contract, which is the longest any superstar has ever held the contract. She cashed in on Charlotte Flair for her first world title. Now, all up, there's been 26 Money in the Bank ladder matches, 24 cash-ins, of which 20 have been successful, 1 rescheduled match, as we just mentioned, and 1 match where the briefcase ended up holding the title when Becky Lynch relinquished her title to Asuka last year. Now, as you mentioned before, the contract has changed hands twice, once in 2007 when Mr. Kennedy lost his contract to Edge, and again last year when Otis lost the briefcase to The Miz. Now, CM Punk and Carmella are the only 2 superstars to have won the Money in the Bank ladder match twice, but as we mentioned, Miz and Edge have also held the briefcase, but they technically didn't win the match. So Punk, Miz, and Edge are the only 3 to hold and cash in the contract more than once. Now, Benny, who do you think has had the most appearances in the Money in the Bank match?
I thought, is there a couple of people?
There's 2.
I'm going to go with Kane.
Ding.
And I do know the second one because it's Kofi.
It is Kofi. Ding, ding. Yeah. Well done.
I didn't know if it was Kane or not. That was a guess, but I did know Kofi was the most, yeah.
On the flip side, who has had the Money in the Bank contract cashed in on them the most?
Cena?
Cena. Good job.
Well, there you go. I'm on fire today.
You are on fire. The match was a staple at WrestleMania from 2005 to 2010. Then it got its own pay-per-view in July of 2010. Now, if you want to find out what happened at the very first Money in the Bank pay-per-view, take a look back at our episode last week, our first retro recap on the 3 Count podcast, and we'll tell you exactly what happened. Now, Benny, favorite Money in the Bank match? Hit me.
Yeah, well, mate, you've just touched on it, actually. Mine was the very first one at WrestleMania. We'd never seen it before. We didn't know what to expect. The people that were in the match were amazing. So I just thought it was a really good match. I feel like I remember seeing Shelton run up a ladder at one stage and do a crazy move. Like that always sticks in my head whenever I think about it. So and obviously, yeah, as I said, the people that were in it: Jericho, Christian, Kane, Edge, and then somebody we probably shouldn't mention, but we'll leave that one out.
Yeah. Well, sometimes.
What about yourself?
Sometimes the original is the best. That was one of my favorites, but in terms of non-stop action, I'm going to have to go with the WrestleMania 24 match, which I think is the best of the lot. CM Punk. I'm sounding like a massive CM Punk homer on this podcast, but CM Punk, Jericho, Shelton Benjamin, Mr. Kennedy, Carlito, and John Morrison, which CM Punk won. John Morrison did a moonsault while holding a ladder. That's the one thing that sticks out in my mind. And also, Shelton took a tumble from the top of a 20-foot ladder onto another ladder outside. It was crazy, that one. So WrestleMania 24 for me.
Yeah, nice.
Do you have a favorite? Oh, not a favorite. Let's say a most memorable moment from Money in the Bank.
Yeah, look, I was going to go with a favourite moment, and then I just sort of flipped the script a little bit, and I've gone with probably the worst moment, which is the memorable for me, and that's last year's 2 Money in the Bank matches. Climbing the Titan Towers, whether it was, Ray and AJ busting into Vince's office and fighting while Vince is in there, or what else do we have? It was actually Daniel Bryan and AJ, sorry. I think Ray got thrown off the roof at one stage. Then Otis won. Like, what was that? Like, that just is so out of the ordinary. And even the women's side of things, it just was weird. I just didn't really like it at all. I guess they were trying something different because we were in lockdown and all that kind of stuff. They couldn't have the crowds. They didn't know where to go. But that's probably my most memorable moment because it almost ruined it for me. So this year's Money in the Bank is going to bring it back for me, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Hopefully it tops it. Now, I went the flip side. I went some of the best, most memorable moments. WrestleMania 23 in 2007. Jeff Hardy climbing up the ladder. He's almost there, but Matt Hardy sets up Edge on a ladder that's bridged towards the ring outside, and Jeff can't help himself and jumps off the 20-foot ladder, leg drops Edge, and it just...
The old swanton off, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, leg drop, was it? Yeah.
it was a leg drop, and it looked nasty. It looked really
Yeah.
nasty. And then a kind of a bit of a random one, but I was watching a couple of the matches back, and it just caught me off guard and just looked so nasty. At Money in the Bank in 2016, Sami Zayn did a Michinoku driver on Kevin Owens onto a ladder, but the ladder was turned on its side.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know how Kevin Owens' back wasn't broken from that, but
Those two are crazy, though. If you go watch any of their matches, some of the stuff that those two do to each other, how they walk away, it just amazes me every time.
and
Like
they
Kevin Owens, some of the just anything that he takes is just always brutal.
Yeah.
So
fight forever, those two.
yeah.
Now, Benny, we've talked about the actual matches. Half the fun of Money in the Bank is the cash-ins. Now,
Yeah.
roll me through your top 3 favorite cash-ins.
My number 3 is The Miz in 2010. He cashed in on Orton. Look, it was probably too soon to give Miz the title, but it sort of set him up. He like the crowd hated it. It was perfect. Nobody seen it coming. They thought no chance. The crowd hated it. And if you remember, it actually started a meme with that little girl with the angry face.
I was just about to say that. The sad girl in the...
Like, she's still a meme going around today, like 11 years later. It's called like the Miz angry face girl. So, I mean, that's sort of something that sticks out in my mind, and probably that's my number 3.
It wasn't as dastardly as the Miz usually is, because Orton was on his feet when he cashed in. I mean, he'd just been through a match, but
he needed to be so he could give him the skull crushing finale. I guess. I mean, if he was on the ground, he wouldn't have been able to pick him up. So, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
That was good. It was an RKO into a skull crushing finale for the win for the Miz.
Yeah. Number 2 for me was in 2016 when Ambrose cashed in on Seth on the same night after he just won the Money in the Bank. And that was kind of an epic night because Seth had just beaten Roman for the title, and then Ambrose beat Seth. So therefore, all 3 members of the Shield held the title on the same night.
That's pretty incredible.
So that was pretty epic. And then number 1 for me, which I think anybody who doesn't have this number 1, it's crazy. Seth Rollins, WrestleMania, grandest stage of them all. Speaks for itself, really. Iconic at the end where he's swinging the title around his head and up on the ramp. It was just the fireworks going on. That was the most epic cash-in, I think.
Yeah, I agree. For my top 3, as you just mentioned, I'll go top down. Number 1 was the Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31 against Brock and Roman. You know, you don't get a bigger pop than what happened when his music hit in Santa Clara. It was incredible. My number 2 is RVD at ECW One Night Stand in 2006 against John Cena. You know, ECW was making a little bit of a comeback, and they had that crowd there, that ECW crowd. You know, there was the big banner that said, you know, if Cena wins, we riot, and RVD ended up getting the win after Paul Heyman came out and counted the 3.
Perfect person, though, to cash in on John Cena. Like, RVD is, if you think ECW, he's one of the first people you think of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what a perfect way to do it at that ECW pay-per-view. Like, it was perfect.
That crowd was just raucous. That was amazing. And my 3rd is actually the very first one, Edge at New Year's Revolution in 2006, once again, against John Cena. Just because, you know...
Obviously, people can see him.
Yeah,
what's going on there?
A lot of people can see him. I mean, it had never been done before. He did the cash-in by handing the briefcase to Vince, sorry, Mr. McMahon, if he's watching, on the ramp and cashing it in that way. And yeah, that was great for his first title. Now, in regards to worst cash-ins, obviously there's the few where they have not won, and out of those, my worst one has to be the aforementioned John Cena at Raw 1000 in 2012 against CM Punk. Now, Cena actually won by DQ after an interference from the Big Show, but I think for me it was the worst just because, not that I'm a Cena lover, and obviously I do like a bit of CM Punk, but just to see a non-result from a match like that, I want to see the title change hands. We want to see the title change hands with Money in the Bank.
Well, that's the whole idea of it, isn't it? Because that means they're getting a push.
Exactly.
Like, not that Cena needs a push at all as well. The other thing that annoyed me about that one is it wasn't a cash-in per se. It was more, he gave him a week's notice that we're going to fight for it, and this is when I'm using it.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones are all ultimate opportunist sort of ones, and they run in and do it that way.
Yeah.
Like, there has been a couple of times, like when Brock didn't, Braun cashed in his was in a Hell in a Cell match, same as Cena's, like it was for the title.
Yeah.
So those kind of ones kind of annoy me a little bit. And then obviously Braun didn't cash in either because Brock kicked the cage in and
Yeah, that was
that one. So
no contest.
yeah.
Worse for you, Benny.
Look, Damien Sandow for me. Like I don't even know how he won the title. I just can't warm to that. Never could warm to that. But the only time I could was when he was Mizdow and he was copying Miz all the time. That was funny.
That was funny.
Damien Sandow in the first place, I just couldn't get to him. And then obviously the other one, which you have to mention, of course, is your best mate Baron.
King Corbin. No more.
Yeah. And then obviously, well, there's been a fifth one as well, The Miz. He cashed in against AJ and Drew in the triple threat.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So there has been a few, but for the most part,
yeah, it's always changing hands, really.
Generally,
which is good.
See the title change hands. All right. Now, we've been through some of our favorites. Let's get into the matches. But actually, before we get into the pay-per-view matches, because Bayley was ruled out, they then changed the SmackDown Women's Championship match to be on SmackDown in front of the live crowd. So we'll do a little preview for that match as well. So that is now Bianca Belair against Carmella. Obviously, very hastily thrown together. But it'll be interesting to see the title fought in front of the live crowd.
I think it's sort of like a present to the live crowd, like welcome back, here's a championship match kind of thing.
Exactly. Now, looking at the odds for this match, thanks to Sportsbet, gamble responsibly. Belair is paying $1.10, Carmella $5.75. So
she's a former champ, couple of time champ. There's a chance there. $5.70 is not bad.
You think there's good money there? Look, for me, the prediction is it's a win for Belair. Belair would have been
agree.
She would have been the favorite going up against Bayley, and now that it's Mella, even though Mella's money, she's not money on SmackDown. She won't be holding the gold, I don't think.
No, they're definitely working something big for SummerSlam. I think they just needed to have a title match once Bayley pulled out. Belair for me, pretty easily, I think.
Well,
they'll stretch it out. They'll stretch it out over a couple of segments on SmackDown, but I mean,
no doubt
she'll still win easily.
So speaking of SummerSlam's coming up next, what is next for Bayley and not Bayley, for Belair and Carmella?
Well, we still don't know who the last person is in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which we'll probably find out on Saturday. If it goes to the pay-per-view and there's a surprise entrant, then I'll mention that a bit later. But if they announce it on the day, if Carmella loses, she might go back to Davila and say, well, I've put me in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So that's where she could go into the match. That's just a little thought of mine. As for Belair, I think she's gonna go up against obviously the returning Banks and Becky's on her way back as well. So she's still at the Performance Center warming up after the birth. So I think that's where they're leading for SummerSlam for her.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be Banks and Belair again, and that's what they're going to build to. As for Carmella, who knows? We'll find out with Money.
You just want to put her on the shit heap, don't you? Just throw her out.
No,
not a Mella fan.
No, I do quite like Carmella. I mean, I was a fan of Enzo and Big Cass when they came in.
Okay.
And I thought that was a cool little trio they got going. She had James Ellsworth. That was pretty funny. So I don't mind Carmella. I don't know about this most beautiful woman in the WWE shtick she's got going on, but all power to her.
Imagine a backstage segment between her and Eva.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? Oh my God. Do my head in.
Carmella's not bad in the ring, though. I'll give her that. Eva, not so much. Moving on. Now, this hasn't been named yet, but we're predicting it. So I'm predicting that there's going to be a SmackDown Tag Team Championship match at the pay-per-view between the Mysterios and the Usos. This may or may not happen, but
SmackDown is the big six-man match with the Mysterios and Edge versus the Usos and Roman. So you would think that that's where it would go.
I feel like it. Now, last week, the Mysterios returned to help Edge put a whooping on the Usos. They've had their problems with the Usos and Reigns. And the Usos have made no secret that they're gunning for those tag team titles. So
7 times.
I feel like this match is going to happen, and I feel like if it does, I think the Usos are going to win.
See, I'm on the flip side. I think the Mysterios hold the belt. I think they'll stretch it a little bit.
Okay, I think the Usos are going to win in a sneaky way. And I think Reigns and the Usos will have all the gold heading into SummerSlam. But as for what happens after this match, if it happens,
Yeah,
it ain't over. These two families are going to keep feuding.
definitely not over. Definitely not over. And it'll go until Dominic turns on Ray.
Yeah.
And then he'll bow down to the
You've got a
the head
real
of the
feeling
table
that
as well.
that's coming on, don't you?
What's that?
That you have a real feeling that that's going to come on.
I've been
at some
saying
point.
it now for three months in a row, so it's like it's got to happen sooner or later. Vince loves screwing it up.
Retirement
so,
match.
Why not? Hey?
Retirement match. Will Dominic retire his father one day?
Oh, maybe.
That's a WrestleMania match if you've ever heard one. Moving on, the Raw Tag Team Championship will be defended at Money in the Bank. AJ Styles and Omos are going to go up against the Viking Raiders. Now, the Viking Raiders won their shot at the titles over a month ago and have been a bit of a thorn in the side of AJ and Omos ever since. Last week, the two teams split a pair of singles matches. Now, Sportsbet has AJ and Omos at $1.24 and the Viking Raiders at $3.60. Do you think there's any value in the Viking Raiders?
Yeah. I think you'll notice a little thing with my predictions in Money in the Bank. I'm flipping the script on everything this one. I'm going all the roughies. I think the Viking Raiders should take the win. I've had enough of AJ and Omos as the tag champs. I don't mind if AJ is a singles competitor with Omos as his bodyguard thing, that kind of stick that it started. But I think AJ's just wasted in the tag team division. It just annoys me. Get back to proper tag team wrestling like the Viking Raiders can do. Give him the titles.
All right, well, I'm going with the favourites in this one. I think AJ and Omos hold the titles. It's as fun and tough as the Raiders are. I just can't see them wearing the gold. Omos is a beast. I don't see the partnership ending until they turn on each other. Are
we going for a bit of HBK, Kevin Nash, Scott Styles?
Maybe.
Hey?
I feel like
You're me.
I feel like the size difference between those two is still so much different too between AJ and Omos.
But what a dynamic match that would be like. That'd be crazy.
I mean, AJ can make anyone look great. So
yeah, true.
We will see. As for what's next, I think if they do hold the titles, don't we all want to see a bit of AJ Omos versus RK Bro action?
Well, maybe you do. The less I see a Riddle, the better.
Okay.
You watch, in 2 months' time, you'll be my favourite wrestler. It always happens.
All right, moving on to the Raw Women's Championship match. We have Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. This will be the fourth straight pay-per-view that we've had a Flair versus Ripley match. I'm over it. Getting a little stale. Ripley's been outsmarting Flair and basically like learning from her, learning how to be a heel wrestler. Now, the odds are a little bit closer on this one. They've got Ripley at $1.57 and Flair at $2.25.
Yeah. Who you got?
I have Flair.
Yeah. Well, you've been saying Flair every match all the way. I've been sticking with Rhea, trying to keep that Aussie pride going. I've had enough. Get it done. Give the title to Charlotte.
Yeah. I think Ripley's had it for a few months now. The feud's getting stale. The Queen needs a title back.
It'd be interesting if they put a stipulation or anything on this match after she got attacked at Raw. Like, if it's just going to be a regular match, it's going to be a dirty match. You know, like they're both. She said she's learning from the dirtiest player in the game, who learnt off the dirtiest player in the game, kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, Charlotte for me now.
It's an interesting concept to see if they can out heel each other.
Yeah. Well, they'll end up putting them as the tag team champions eventually.
I'll be interested to see that. As for what's next, I hope this is the end. But my pick is if Flair finally wins back the title, only for Becky Lynch to return and challenge her for it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. As for Ripley, she's going to be sniffing around that title picture for a long time.
I don't think she needs a title. She's had it. She doesn't need it for a little bit now.
Yeah.
Do something else. Like, hone your skills a bit better. Prove that you are. Like I said last time with Drew, I thought he's better in the pursuit of the title rather than actually having the title. Yeah. And that could be where Rhea really works as well.
Yeah, I agree. She definitely doesn't need it anymore. All right, Benny, now we come to one of the big ones, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have Drew McIntyre, Riddle, John Morrison, Ricochet, Kevin Owens, Big E, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Seth Rollins. This should be a cracker.
Definitely. Now, hear me out here. I've got too many theories on this one. I've gone a bit of a conspiracy theorist on this one. So my first theory, Seth wins, and then he'll try and cash it in later on in the night, causing a DQ in the main event, but he won't actually cash it in. So then he'll still have the briefcase, and then he'll fight Edge at SummerSlam.
Okay.
The next one, which I don't think definitely won't happen, but I'd love to see it. Big E wins, and then threatens to cash in on Kofi, just to mix it up a little bit and like break up the New Day.
All right.
That'd be interesting.
This,
but I guess it depends on the order of the matches on the pay-per-view. Like, it's sort of too hard to predict.
I think
if
the way
Kofi
WWE
win it in the first match of the pay-per-view, then that could happen.
the way WWE has it now, it looks like the championship matches will be at the end of the night. So
Yeah,
I guess that's the
Vince
fun
is
of
like,
it,
he mixes
right?
it up. It could happen. I don't know. It just depends.
Yeah. Now,
And then where's Randy? Is Randy going to come out and help your mate Riddle, or so? But overall, I kind of want Big E to win. I think it'll be a crazy match, though.
I mean, I think the only superstar which you can rule out of winning this match is Ricochet, right? Drew's a little bit too obvious. I think it'll
Well,
be.
then he's going to go up against Roman because he can't go against Lashley.
Yeah,
So.
I think it'll be a bit of a letdown if Drew wins. But look, I'm with you. My pick's Big E.
Yeah.
I think it's time for Big E to get his shot, and I don't think Lashley loses the title, and I think we maybe see a reuniting of the New Day on Raw.
All on Raw. That'd be nice.
That's my pick there.
I don't mind that.
So now we get to the second Money in the Bank match, the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have Alexa Bliss, Nikki ASH, almost a superhero, Naomi, Asuka, Zelina Vega, Liv Morgan, Natalia, and TBD. So I think the biggest concern around this match is who the eighth entrant will be.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a few options there. Sonya Deville could make her return to the ring. Sasha Banks could make her return. We've been teased that Toni Storm's going to debut. Could have the loser of the Belair Carmella match. There's a million ways which this could go.
Yeah, if they wait until Sunday, I think it'll be Banks or Lynch. If Lynch is ready. I don't know if Lynch is ready or not, but if they wait until Sunday, then I think it'll be Banks. If they announce it on SmackDown, I feel like it might be Toni Storm or, like you said, Deville. I think Toni Storm in the match would be pretty good. Like her and Shotzi came out last week. That was pretty cool on the little tank and stuff.
That was Tegan Nox last week with.
Tegan Nox. Sorry. Also Toni Storm, right?
Toni Storm has been teased as debuting on SmackDown. They've run a vignette, but she hasn't actually been on the show yet.
Okay.
So
still she'll be pretty good.
Could be another Aussie in there, although maybe she's Kiwi.
Is she?
She's Aussie or a Kiwi, one of the two.
She's a bit like Russell Crowe.
We'll claim her if she's Kiwi. That's fine. Now, Benny, without knowing the eighth entrant, who's your pick?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a tough one. There's no standout for me. I'm gonna go with my friend Bray's old mate. The little Alexa.
Little Alexa Bliss. Well,
yeah.
You ready for this one?
Okay.
Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan. I am all aboard the Liv Morgan train. I know I think she's been underutilized since she debuted. You know, she's due for a push. She can beat some of the best. She's shown that. It'd be a real fun underdog story with her to have the briefcase, and I think it would do wonders for her career.
Okay.
That's my pick.
And who does she cash in on?
You only live once.
Boom.
I don't know. I think she holds it for a while. I think having the briefcase for someone like her really makes her career rather than the cash in straight away.
Yeah.
We now move on to the Universal Championship match, Roman Reigns versus Edge. Now, after losing to Reigns at WrestleMania, along with Daniel Bryan, Edge returned to claim his singles match for the title, which he never got. Edge has been pretty brutal since returning. He's been slapping the Reigns and Usos in cross faces using a steel rod from the chair. That seems to be his new thing.
That's his definitely new stick.
Now, the odds makers don't give Edge much of a shot. They have Reigns at $1.15 and Edge at $4.65. Benny, what do you think happens?
Is that clean victory? Because does that include DQ?
That is to win the match. I don't think it includes DQ.
Because I was going to say, I think Edge technically wins the match via DQ. Okay. Either the Usos get involved, or like I said before, Seth Rollins will get involved, and that way Edge will win the match.
Might have to check out some of the terms of sports bets there.
I think it's going to be a great match, though. There's been plenty of feeling into it. They've put a lot into this match. And yeah, I just think because Edge has dominated so much, the Usos are going to hate him. They're going to want to come out and get some sort of retribution. Roman is Roman. Roman does the dirty things. He's got Paul Heyman there. He's going to do everything he can. Edge will go a bit over the top. But yeah, I've got it on a DQ. Edge winning on DQ. Okay. So the title doesn't change hands.
I've just got Reigns retaining.
Yeah, okay.
Whether that's by DQ or winning, I think he'll win. Like
clean?
Not clean. But he'll win. Edge has been unstoppable, but Reigns has proven time and time again that there's a reason he's the head of the table. As for what's next, I think we've alluded to it a little bit already. We think that Edge and Rollins are going into a program for SummerSlam.
There's plenty of talk about it. So, like, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, and remember, don't forget 7 years ago when Rollins attacked not medically cleared at the time Edge on Raw while he was in a feud with Cena, and Edge just told him he has not forgotten.
There you go.
Speaking of Cena, that's where I think Reigns goes to next. Cena at SummerSlam.
There's talk of him coming back in a couple of weeks. It'd be good to see if he came back at the pay-per-view, though.
Yeah. So that's my picks there. Now,
imagine Cena comes out, heel Cena just comes out. Oh, he can't be because Roman's a heel. So, yeah. I mean, but if he just ruins the match, like just out of nowhere, just gives him the AA or something like that.
I feel like as much as we'd all love to see a heel Cena, they're not going to do it.
Just comes back out like in the Thug Life gimmick, like just rapping and stuff like that.
But it's been done before. When The Rock first went to Hollywood, he came back as Hollywood Rock. He was the heel going up against Goldberg, and so you never know. Never say never in the WWE, right?
That's it.
Now, our last match of the evening, we have Bobby Lashley taking on Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. Lashley finished off his feud with Drew McIntyre at Hell in a Cell, who was then challenged by Kofi. It was accepted on the condition that he got Xavier Woods in a Hell in a Cell match, and despite a valiant effort, Lashley destroyed Woods, and all Kofi could do was watch. Now, 2 weeks later, New Day picked up a win over Lashley and MVP, and there's been talk that, Lashley was getting a bit soft being around MVP, and he showed that was not the case. He destroyed the VIP lounge on the Go Home Raw and promised to end Kofi's career. Now,
after he lost to Xavier, that was pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Just lost his mind, so...
Now, the odds makers also believe that Lashley's going to end Kofi's career. This is the shortest odds of all.
$1.10?
$1.04 for Lashley. Ooh. $8 for Kofi Kingston.
Gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly, and I couldn't agree with them more. Lashley retains for me.
I think, it's going to be a bit of a demolition. Would love to see Kofi win. Just can't happen. It's just not going to happen.
This is just coming off the top of the dome right now. Could MVP screw Lashley over? He's been trying to get Kofi to manage Kofi for a little while now. Just came.
Could Xavier turn on Kofi and join the Hurt Business?
Well, they're in need of a few people after getting rid of most
of. They screwed over the other two, so I mean,
most of the company. So yeah, look, I mean, I think Lashley retains.
Funnily enough, what you said before, I've got written down here. I don't even remember writing it down, but would love to see Big E cash in if he wins the briefcase, and that would put all New Day back on Raw. So you just alluded to that just before. So there you go. Great minds, still.
There you go. Great minds. If Lashley does retain, where does he go to for SummerSlam?
Oh, probably goes on holiday for a bit, I'd say. Who else is over? This is the thing. SmackDown's so much better product. Like you just want to know what's going on SmackDown. Raw's just seems sort of, now that Drew's done, who else is going to get a title shot?
Here's what I think.
Sheamus get elevated, but he's got the US title. We haven't seen much of him at all. Like it's just sort of
thinking about someone who hasn't been around for a while. Keith Lee.
Yeah,
Keith Lee hasn't been around. He's been teasing on Twitter that he's ready for a comeback. And if anyone could have a great match together, it could be Lashley and Keith Lee. 2 huge dudes, super athletic. Keith Lee's so over as well. So I think that could be a good match. I hope that's where it's headed.
Yeah, nice.
As for Kofi, maybe maybe I'm just getting too excited about RK Bro, but maybe we see some New Day RK Bro feud happening.
Do you get paid per time you say that in this podcast
I
or
do.
what, man?
I do.
It's all about the little facial expression as well.
It just sounds good to say, RK Bro.
Bro.
All right, so that is it for our preview of Money in the Bank. But now we're going to get into our favorite part. We're going to do a draft. We're going to draft our dream Money in the Bank match. So we're going to pick 4 guys each in what we think will be the most epic Money in the Bank match you've ever seen. And then get in touch with us on the socials and tell us who you think would win our dream Money in the Bank match. Now, Benny, because you're stuck in lockdown right now, I'm going to give you the first pick.
You know you don't want to do that because I'll take your number 1 pick just to annoy you.
Go for it.
Nah. Look, I'll let you have your boy because you're wearing his shirt. You can have him at number 2. Number 1 for me, I'm going to take the first ever winner, Edge.
Edge at number 1.
Yeah, Edge is at number 1.
Okay, well, I will take my boy. Now that he's still at the board, I will take CM Punk with pick number 2.
Nice. My next pick, tossing it up here, but I think I'm going to go with RKO Randy Orton.
Randy Orton with number 3, your boy.
Yeah.
At 4, I'm going to take someone who I think has revolutionized this match. I'm going to take Shelton Benjamin, with number 4.
I was literally tossing up. I knew you'd do that. All right, well, I'm going to take somebody who's been in the most and is also a high flyer and will definitely help Shelton a bit, Kofi.
Kofi at 5. Good pick. Now, this next pick of mine is someone who has never been in a Money in the Bank ladder match.
Oh, interesting.
So but who revolutionized the ladder match. And I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels.
Okay. I see what you did there. You're mixing it up, flipping the script on me.
I'm flipping the script a little bit.
All right. Well, my next pick, I'm going to go with the man who created the match, Y2J himself, Chris Jericho.
All right. Chris Jericho at number 7. Well, my next pick and the last pick. This is a tough one. I am torn between 2 guys here. Okay.
Is one of them Dolph Ziggler?
No, one of them is not Dolph Ziggler.
Damn, I was going to put him in there.
So the guy who I am not going to take, Johnny Drip himself, John Morrison, was going to be my choice, but I am changing my mind, and my last pick will be Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, nice. You can't have, the match that they would put on would be epic. They're imagine him, Shelton, and Kofi, just some of the stuff that they do.
So this is the dream Money in the Bank match that we have. We have Edge, CM Punk, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, Kofi Kingston, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, and Jeff Hardy. What a match
epic.
That would be. Now
let's all remember that they're all in their prime.
All in their prime in this dream Money in the Bank scenario. And please hit us up on our socials. Tell us who you think's going to win this match. Benny, who do you think's going to win this match?
I'm going to go with Randy. Randy's going to win. Yeah.
Randy to take it out. I'm going to go a little bit down my list, and I'm going to say Shawn Michaels. He's won everything else. Why wouldn't he win this?
Just the quadruple crown of whatever.
Exactly.
Just wins everything.
Let's just add more to the list. That's it for another episode of the 3 Count Podcast. Please sound off on our socials. Tell us who you think would win the Dream Money in the Bank match. Throw any suggestions or comments our way. We've got at 3 Count Pod on Twitter and Facebook, at 3 Count Podcast on Instagram, or email us at 3countpod@outlook.com. Benny, thanks for joining us, and
thanks, mate.
Enjoy Money in the Bank.
I will. I'm really looking forward to it. And all you guys out on socials, make sure you feel free to tell Dylan how bad all these picks are, okay? Tell me I'm the best, and that's and I'll give you shout outs everywhere. You tell me I'm the best, and I will shout your personal handles out, guys. Trust me.
And now that we are in video form, check out our YouTube account as well.
Yeah, probably it's good, but just look at Dylan's side. Don't look at me.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. See ya.